Hi, it's Miss Greta with Keep County Beautiful here. I hope you all are doing well today. Today, for our first lesson, we are going to do a litter evaluation. Litter, we think of trash, don't we? But really, litter can be almost anything that ends up in a place where it doesn't belong. And an evaluation, when we evaluate something, that means that we look closely at it and we talk about it and really think about it, okay? But first, I want to share with you a poem that was written by a young man named Mike Schwartz. Mike wrote this when he was in 6th grade, so he wasn't much older than a lot of you. It's called Earth Thoughts. How long can our Earth survive? Nobody knows. People don't realize what trouble our planet is in. They only hear the birds chirping happily and smell the roses blooming. They only want to think about the good things in life, not think about the Earth's problems. Maybe if everyone realized what troubles the Earth faces, polluted water and air, destruction of our rainforests, litter everywhere. Maybe if everyone did their share to help do something about these problems, then people could go back to thoughts of the sounds of the birds chirping and the smell of the roses blooming. That's a pretty good little poem there, isn't it? I like that. Young Mr. Schwartz is thinking a lot about our Earth and some of the problems that all of us need to focus on making better ways for. Okay, so for our litter evaluation, we got a big old trash bag here. In that trash bag, we've collected, let's pretend we've gone out and we've picked up trash along the side of the road. I bet all of us probably saw some kind of litter along the side of the road on our way to where we were going today. And when we picked up all that litter, we've got lots of different items. Now let's look closely at each of these items, and then I want you just to think in your head, to think to yourself about whether you think this piece of litter is harmful, really harmful, or not so harmful. If it's harmful, it means that it could hurt something or someone, okay? So as we look at each of these items, just think in your head whether you think, that can hurt something. That might hurt someone or an animal, some living thing. So that's harmful. Or maybe, it's not so harmful. It can't really hurt anybody. As we look at each of these items, okay? String. A ball of string or twine. Is that harmful? Really harmful? Or not so harmful? Next, we have an orange peel. An orange peel. How harmful is that? Is that bad or not so bad? And then here I have a plastic straw. A plastic straw. Next I have a cigarette butt. Oh, yuck. Those get littered a lot by smokers, don't they? Do you think that one is very harmful or not so much? Oh, here's another item we see littered a lot. It's a plastic bottle. Maybe a water bottle or Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, that plastic bottle. Is that harmful? Here's a different kind of bottle. This one's made of glass. That one's made of glass. What do we think about that? Do we think that's very harmful or not so much? And then here's a plastic cup. Plastic cup got littered out there. What about a candy bar wrapper? Is that one harmful or not so much? Here's a Coca-Cola can, an aluminum can. We see those get littered a lot too, don't we? And then last but not least, my last item I have is a balloon. Probably made of latex or maybe vinyl or plastic. Some of them are made of foil, I don't know. Here's a balloon. And I think this is an item that probably all of us have probably littered at some point in our life, whether we meant to or not. Did you ever have a balloon, take it outside, and mom or dad said, hold on real tight to that balloon, make sure you don't let it go, but we got outside and oops, you accidentally let it go. We didn't mean to, but guess what? We littered. because that balloon goes up, up, up in the sky, but it doesn't just disappear, does it? No, eventually it's going to pop. And when that balloon pops, it's going to float down somewhere and become litter, isn't it? Okay, so all these items that have been littered on the side of the road, let's think about which ones we think are really harmful and not so harmful. Usually, when we do this in class, a lot of my students, there's no right or wrong answers, but a lot of my students will tell me that the glass they think is the most harmful, because if the glass is broken, an animal could cut their paw on it. So I could see why some of you might think that maybe the glass was the most harmful. I've heard some students say that the cigarette butt was the most harmful, because maybe that cigarette butt got thrown out of a car and it was still lit and it could cause a forest fire. And that's true. If that happened, that would be very, very harmful, wouldn't it? But no matter what you said, what you thought was the most harmful or the least, there's no right or wrong answers. I got one other little one I want to point out here, though. Usually, let me say this. What did you think was the least harmful of all those littered items, all that trash? Which one do you think is not very harmful at all? Usually, a lot of folks say they think that orange peel is not harmful at all. And I've even heard some very smart, science-minded students tell me, Miss Greta, that orange peel is biodegradable. That means that it can rot and decompose and go back into the earth. And so therefore it's not harmful. And you know what? If you thought that, you're right. The orange peel is biodegradable. It's compostable. We can let that rot and decompose and go back into the earth. It will do that. However, let's say that on my way here today, I had an orange for a snack. And when I was done with that orange, I threw that orange peel right out along the side of the road, because I said, well, it's going to decompose and go back into the earth. And then what about a little bear cub? I was in the woods near the edge of the road, and she smelled that orange peel and she thought it was food for her. And that little bear cub has to cross the busy highway I traveled down to try to get to that orange peel and eat it. That orange peel could be very harmful for that bear. What could happen to that poor bear? It could get hit by a car, couldn't it? So even though we might have items that we think are not very harmful, because we could throw them in our compost at home. We could toss them in the woods out back and they're going to rot and decompose. It's not like our plastic or our glass, right? It will go back into the earth. It still is never, ever okay to litter any items. We don't ever throw anything out of our cars, because each item of litter is going to be harmful in some kind of way. It can be harmful in some kind of way to some living things. So just keep that in mind, and remember, it's never, ever okay to litter. And every piece of litter can be harmful in some kind of way. Okay? I thank you all very much for doing a litter evaluation with me. Got those smart brains turning. And I got a couple other facts that I want to share with you before this lesson is over. So you know how we talked about that there are some things like that orange peel that's biodegradable. It can rot and decompose and go back into the earth, right? And then there are some things that are not biodegradable. They don't rot and decompose and go back into the earth so easily. I've got a little fact sheet here, and I will say it can vary depending on different circumstances like the weather, the humidity, different environmental factors can affect things differently. But I want to share with you the length of time it takes for certain items to decompose. A paper towel. So let's say that I put a paper towel out there on the grass and I just left it alone, didn't touch it, didn't do anything to it. One little paper towel. It can take 2 to 4 weeks for that paper towel to decompose. A banana peel. A banana peel can take 3 to 4 weeks to decompose. Paper bag can take a month. A newspaper can take over a month and a half. An apple core takes 2 months to decompose. So does cardboard. Cardboard can take 2 months to decompose. Oh, that orange peel that got thrown out there, it will take 6 months for the orange peel to decompose. Who would have thought that? 6 months, that's half a year. Milk cartons. Those milk cartons, now they're made of that paperboard, but then they put this waxy coating on them, don't they? So we cannot recycle our milk cartons. We have to throw them in the trash, don't we? Milk cartons can take 5 years to decompose. So that means if you are a 4th grader, your milk cartons from 1st grade are, guess what? Still sitting there in the landfill. They have not decomposed yet. Cigarette butts, those yucky cigarette butts, they take 10 to 12 years to decompose. That's a long time. That's longer than most of you have been alive, huh? Let's see, those foam plastic cups can take 50 years. Plastic bottles can take 450 years. Yes, I said 450 years. That's why it's so important. Number one, we try to use a reusable water bottle if we can. Fill it up and use it over and over and over. Or if you do end up using a plastic bottle, plastic water bottle, Coca-Cola bottles, Gatorade, whatever you have, it's so important that we recycle those. All those number 1s and number 2s, all our plastic water bottles and Gatorade bottles, all those things, we recycle them so they can get turned into new bottles. Because if we throw them in the trash can and they go to the landfill, they're going to be sitting there for 450 years. That's a long time. Plastic bags, 200 to as many as 1,000 years. And they don't ever really decompose completely. They just break down into little tiny little pieces. So again, it's important if we can that we're recycling all the plastic bags we get from the grocery store, taking them back to the store and recycling those. Monofilament fishing line. Any of you fisher people ever been out there? I'm sure sometime we've accidentally littered some fishing line because you get your line caught in a tree and can't get it down, right? It happens, doesn't it? That fishing line can take 600 years. 600 years to decompose. Now the last one I'll share with you. You're not going to believe this. Disposable diapers. Ooh, yuck. Disposable diapers take 550 years to decompose. So guess what that means, folks? The diapers you wore when you were babies are, guess what? Still there. The diapers your moms and dads wore when they were babies are, guess what? Still there. Your mamas and papas, if they didn't wear cloth diapers, if they wore disposable diapers, mamas and papas diapers are, guess what? Still there. Okay, I'm sorry I have to end it on a yucky fact like that, but that's just the truth, okay? And this is why we have to really think about everything that we're using and everything we're putting in the trash can, and try to think before we throw anything in that trash can, is it recyclable? Is it reusable? Is there something else I can do with this besides putting it in the trash and letting it sit there for so long before it decomposes, right? And again, making sure that whatever we do, wherever we go, we're never, ever littering. Being very careful with things in and out of the car to make sure that nothing is ending up being litter. I'm sure none of you would litter on purpose, but we want to be very mindful of ourselves to make sure we're not littering accidentally either, okay? Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.